Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dangerous Ideas. Hashtag slash tag moment of clarity. Sorry if I seem a little frazzled. Thanks for being here, by the way. Sorry if I seem a little frazzled. I literally sprinted in the door to try and make this live stream happen. I just got back from Washington D.C. I was down there to film and be a part of the action with Jody Evans and Medea Benjamin of Code Pink and Ben Cohen from Ben and Jerry's. You might have known them from I think you probably know them best from their ice cream. Although they did have it was like a kind of a tangy, zesty salsa for just a bit in the 80s that no one liked. No one. It had like cherries and mint and Oreos in it. Anyway, but Ben and Jerry's, you know them from the ice cream mainly. Ben Cohen and Jody chose to get arrested at the Justice Department in Washington, D.C. I did take footage. I have not had a chance to download it, edit all that stuff. I will get that to you hopefully tomorrow on tomorrow's live stream. But yeah, they were down there just now getting arrested to protest for the freedom of Julian Assange at the Justice Department there in Washington, D.C. But it was a crazy time because, and I'll get into more of this tomorrow, but as the cops were saying, listen, we're going to arrest you. We're going to arrest you. You know, they're like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute. Literally, like at the moment, they're getting information to do this arrest. There was a crack of thunder that made the whole crowd around jump, and then 10 seconds later, the skies open up. Maybe it was a sign from the weather gods. I don't believe in one god. I believe in many. Roughly, it's around 1900. So it depends. If I have like a day where I'm like frustrated at one of the gods, I might not believe in them, and so it gets to like 1899 or something. 1899 at times, because if you get like a thorn bush like cuts you, you're like, all right, fuck the god of thorns. All right. So you forget they're no longer a god to me. And so I'll leave them out and it'll go down. But anyway, the skies opened up and I wouldn't have cared. I don't mind getting wet. I'm so brave. I don't, did you hear that? I don't mind getting wet. I am so goddamn brave, but I happen to have a very expensive camera in order to film this. One of the few, I think that and my laptop are the two most expensive things I own. So I like wrapped it in my shirts and then my shirt, and then ultimately sprinted away like a leprechaun into the night. Because also I wanted to get back to here to speak to you. So, but I will bring you that footage of me speaking to Ben getting ready for the arrest, as well as Jody and all of that good stuff tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes, either tomorrow or soon. So that is, if I seem a little frazzled, that's why. However, lucky for you, I did prep a lot of important topics. Obviously, a lot more is going on in the world than just the continued persecution of Julian Assange, although that is breathtakingly horrific. Please take a second to click thumbs up, to click like, to click share. If you're at rumble.com/leakcamp, click follow there, because I'm so close to 50,000 followers, and I really like to get there because these meaningless numbers, we pretend they mean something, like as if what's the difference? For 49,000, 50,000, it just is. It just matters to me, okay? It's all of my self-worth is wrapped up in that number. So please do that. But let's get into it. Let's get to the first topic. And I also have a moderately exciting announcement coming up after this. But I want to go through what has happened in Jenin in the West Bank. More horrific war crimes by Israel. I haven't covered Israel in several weeks, so I think it was good time to get into this. And just so you know what else is coming up, we're going to talk about Biden nominating or putting in a war criminal into his administration, another war criminal, a huge war criminal. Talking about France possibly banning social media. Lots of important stuff coming up. Oh, and if we have time, we're going to get into how the Biden administration and our government are planning for geoengineering. So all of that, or I guess continued geoengineering. I covered how we've been manipulating the weather. Maybe that's what happened in D.C. Because we were having the Assange protests, they made it rain. Bastards! But okay, so this is Richard Medhurst's. He does great work. This is his thread on Jenin in the West Bank. Israel launched its biggest attack in the West Bank in years. Here's some of the video. In 20 years, obliterating many parts of the Jenin refugee camp. To do this, Israel sent troops, armored vehicles, drones, planes, and helicopters. A devastating attack that destroyed homes, infrastructure, and lives. Here are some of the trucks rolling in to the refugee camp. Israel killed 13 Palestinians, many of them teenagers. And by the way, just a quick reminder that 50% of Palestinians are under 18. So whenever you hear of all the war crimes that are being done against Palestinians, keep in mind that a lot of them are children. And a lot of these war crimes are being done against children. I don't know if that makes it, more intolerable, but certainly intolerable. Jenin refugee camp is barely half a kilometer square in size. God, I didn't know it was that small. Populated by over 14,000 people. The idea Israel can attack it without causing civilian casualties is ludicrous. Watch as Israeli vehicles and bulldozers invade Jenin. Here's more footage of that. They do send in, for those of you that might not follow this stuff, you might be unfamiliar with why you would send in bulldozers, rather than just military vehicles, because this is not a traditional war. It's not a war where you have two sides firing guns and tanks firing at each other, because one side has very few guns and generally often has rocks, and the other side has tanks and things like that. So they send in these bulldozers to just destroy houses, buildings, sometimes cars, vehicles, and it really is a destruction game as much as it could be called any kind of battle. It's just how much can we destroy this area? And at times, in their more honest moments, Israel has even kind of admitted this, that they go into the West Bank or the Palestinian areas and they destroy them, because it's not just because we had heard rumors that there were fighters there or whatever, that bullshit. It's not that. It's that they don't want the Palestinian areas to be developed to a level that the people could have comfortable, sustainable lives. Now, there's a lot of reasons that can't happen. It's not just the fact that they can't rebuild, but they also can't rebuild. So when they don't have the materials, they don't have the various things you need, often the electricity, the fuel, the machinery. So when Israel goes in and destroys buildings, they often stay destroyed. And so they'll do this at various times just to make sure that the entire area can't build up, can't grow, can't become developed. Over 1,000 Israeli troops are sent in to attack the Palestinian refugee camp, which over the years has become a symbol of resistance against the occupation because of Israel's failure to conquer or tame it. Israeli warplanes. Here's video of Israeli warplanes bombing Jenin. I mean, and watch this again. And now imagine the idea that that's being done to not hit civilians. Look at the size of that blast. Even if you had one bad guy right at the center of that blast, right? There was the Skeletor is down there with a gun and a Palestinian flag, and they've just got to get him. Even if that were true, which bullshit, I'm gonna say Skeletor's not there, okay? Because I spoke to him just a couple of weeks ago, and he was in Bahamas. All right, the Bahamas. That's where Skeletor is. So the idea that I don't think so. I don't think he went to West Bank. But so let's say that were the case, that literally one bad guy where that bomb landed. There is no way to stop it from killing and destroying lives around it. And that's probably one of the smaller blasts. So this idea that, oh, well, we're going after the bad guy. No, you're going after, even if you were going after a bad guy, it'd be, which is a bullshit term, but it'd be everything around it as well. And they don't care. There's no concern for, oh, well, what about the civilians in that area? This is Israeli forces going door to door, kicking families out of their homes at gunpoint. Others receive text messages from Israeli numbers telling them to leave. But you watch this and you think, what could that child be doing that, oh, it's so horrific to the Israeli military, we have to go in there. As a result of this latest assault, thousands of Palestinians are forced to flee their homes, literally in pajamas, carrying nothing but their children. And this shows some of the refugees leaving. They've got water in their hands because they don't know when they'll be back or when they will get water. These are also elderly women, elderly men. It is truly horrific. And it is war crimes. It's crimes of all kinds. And the U.S. is obviously supporting this. We support it by funding and arming Israel, giving them billions of dollars. But we also support it through our media coverage, our propaganda. Palestinians who are refugees in their own country turned into refugees once again. Yeah, that's another fact to consider. Okay, let's say you support the way things are right now, which would be kind of crazy. But let's say you do. Let's say you think things are great in Israel and Palestine, even though they don't have national status. Let's see. So some people are telling me, by the way, that Rumble is not working on Firefox, but it is working in Google Chrome. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to join the Rumble stream, unfortunately, try Google Chrome because it seems to be having an easier time than Firefox. But what I was going to say is, imagine that you support the way things are working right now in Palestine. This still means that these people are refugees in their own region, their own country, even though they're not given nation status, their own area. So how is it that another country, Israel, can come in and force obvious children, elderly, infirmed, out of their houses, walking down the street? They're refugees literally in their own land, literally in their own area. And that's if you don't believe they have any right to return, if you don't believe that Israel has done anything wrong. Even if that were the case, how is this? So, yeah, get out of your own house and just flee. And that's makes sense to anybody as a reasonable tactic, as a reasonable response. Palestinian fighters confront the Israeli invasion with Molotov cocktails. An Israeli vehicle quickly drives away after being set on fire. So, there is some resistance. The moment an Israeli vehicle is hit by an improvised explosive device. Listen here to the intensity of the battle between Jenin fighters and Israeli forces. I don't really want to show too much PTSD invoking harm, but obviously I've shown some, so I'm not going to avoid it 100%. But I also don't want everybody to walk away from this live stream with permanent damage. So this is gunmen firing at a camera. This is Israeli gunmen firing at a camera. Clearly they knew it was a camera and they just are shooting at all cameras. Because look, you can see here, this is a camera in the corner. And they literally pull their vehicle over and shoot the shit out of it. And I would say it's, look how close they are. It seems quite clear that they understand that's a camera, not a gun. But they shoot it anyway because they're hoping to stop any footage of their crimes from getting out. So that is why they're involved with that. And then let's see how the U.S. Let's see how much more is in this. As a result of this latest assault, thousands of Palestinians are forced to flee their homes. I already did that one. Refugees in their own land. Palestinian fighters confront vehicles. Israeli bulldoze homes in Jenin, destroying public utilities and infrastructure such as water, electricity, and the streets themselves. Again, like I said, this is part of the strategy of Israel, is to simply make this, beyond a failed state, to make this just a completely failed land where people can't live or have sustainable lives there. The buildings they're destroying are not known as like war buildings or battle buildings or anything like that. It's usually buildings of infrastructure. It's usually water. It's offices of politicians. It's press offices, although those don't really exist anymore, I don't think. Israel in the past has bombed the offices of Al Jazeera and other press agencies. But I also wanted to show you the way the U.S. propaganda works about this latest attack or what's going on in Israel. Now, I feel like the U.S. propaganda has started, they've started to come to a new era in it about Israel, where they've realized they can't quite just say Israel was provoked and they were bombed and they're defending themselves, because too much video's gotten out to showing that's not the case. Like, you can't see gunmen walk up to children and knock them out of their homes and go, well, clearly they were defending themselves. So because of that, New York Times and the others have shifted to a kind of propaganda that sounds more even-handed at first, but is still not even-handed. So, like, here's how they do it. They try and defend Israel's actions. Jenin has a long legacy as a bastion of Palestinian armed struggle. Yeah. Oh, and here's this scary image with the dark filter on it of a guy with a rock. He's got a rock in his hand. Well, clearly he should be shot because he's got a rock in his hand. Israeli forces hunted for wanted men, weapons, and explosives in the Palestinian refugee camp this week after using aerial drones to blow up what they described as terrorist hubs. Yeah, that's exactly what they were doing as they were rounding up children. That was clearly what they were doing. But I love the dark filter on the photo, because if you showed that in like regular daylight, then people might go, that doesn't look that evil. Sure, he's got a mask on, but he's standing in the middle of toxic smoke. You'd have a mask on too, and he's holding a rock. But I feel like holding a rock isn't that illegal. But so they put a dark filter on it so you can tell that this is nefarious. Long legacy as a bastion of Palestinian armed struggle. Now think about this: is they're like, well, this area has some armed struggle in it. And so therefore we can destroy it. We can bulldoze whole areas. We can just fucking wreck it because it's an area of, well, you know what else has a history of armed struggle? I feel like the United States is always at war, right? We're at war pretty much all the time. So I think other countries should come in and just like destroy Washington, D.C. because it has a history as a bastion of armed struggle. Does it not? Of course, that would be insanity. You can't just say like, oh, a whole city should be destroyed, a whole area, a whole region, a whole municipality, a whole township should be destroyed. Everyone there should just have their lives wrecked, ruined, because there's some armed struggle that came out of that region. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, let's just destroy the whole area then. That makes sense. No, it's horrific, and the New York Times is bending over backwards to try to justify it. Here's some more propaganda from New York Times. Israel's major incursion in the West Bank is over. Did it solve anything? Now, at first you're like, well, that doesn't sound too propagandistic, but when you think about it, what does "did it solve anything" mean? Oh, it means did they go far enough? It's a way of actually pushing the policymakers, and U.S. obviously has incredible influence on Israel, if not the final say, but incredible influence on Israel. The U.S. funds, arms, and controls a lot of what Israel does in many ways. So when the New York Times does an article like this, it's trying to push policy. It's trying to push our policymakers into doing something. And in this case, it's saying basically, yeah, sure, Israel bombed, destroyed, evicted people, killed people in the refugee camp in the West Bank. But did they go far enough? Did they kill enough? Did they bomb enough? Did they create enough refugees? Did they destroy enough buildings? I don't know. I don't know if they solved anything. I don't know if they fixed it because they didn't kill enough. The sub-headline says, Israelis and Palestinians said the armed groups that were the targets of the military raid would quickly rebuild and the Israeli soldiers would be back soon. So see, this photo here, not enough destruction because the armed struggle would continue. So clearly what they need to do is just obliterate the whole area more. Not enough has been done. And by the way, it's the same reporter who seems very involved in trying to get more destruction of Palestine. Before 8 a.m. on Wednesday, the Israeli military said it had finished its incursion in the West Bank city of Jenin. And you notice we allow all these little euphemisms, these little words, incursion, they were responding, they were defending themselves. But if we were on the other side of things, the U.S. propaganda, it'd be the invasion, right? Israel has completed its invasion of the West Bank. But no, it's an incursion. It's a special military operation aimed at curbing attacks on Israelis by armed Palestinians. Because, it's really been a fair fight but from the Palestinians versus the Israelis, right? Barely 5 hours later, about 25 miles away, shots fired from a car with Palestinian plates hit an Israeli police vehicle, causing damage but no casualties. So you notice in the first paragraph, you have, this is an article about how one of the largest, most powerful militaries in the world, Israel, has gone after a group of refugees where the most dangerous photo they could find was a guy holding a rock. That is what just happened. And her first paragraph is about how Palestinians shot at a police vehicle, harming no one. But so her first paragraph is about Palestinians causing violence against Israelis, when in fact, what did we just witness was the entire destruction, the decimation, and the wholesale, arrest, maybe slaughter. I don't know how many died yet, but of people in these camps. And yet her opening paragraph is, we didn't do enough. They're still shooting at us. Well, it's funny that you bombing and destroying their entire area may cause them to shoot more. Just a crazy thought. Okay, so I wanted to bring that story to you. Obviously important, and the U.S. continues our propaganda, our complete lies as to what's going on in Israel. But luckily, people are waking up to it in a big way. Okay, let's move on to the Biden. As we're talking about war crimes and war crimes that Biden supports and our government supports, Biden has nominated, controversial to say the least, former Trump appointee to Public Diplomacy Commission, Elliott Abrams. And luckily, he has a little name tag here in the photo, the Honorable Elliott Abrams. Elliott Abrams is a well-known war criminal. Many of his war crimes and policies he's come up with and pushed for have been against Latin America. That's been one of his main areas of destruction and harm. President Joe Biden announced Monday his intention to nominate a former appointee under former President Donald Trump. But Elliott Abrams was well known as a horrific and sociopathic war criminal before Donald Trump, but Trump's the latest to appoint him to something. with a controversial past in Latin America, to the bipartisan U.S. Advisory Commission on Public Diplomacy. Elliott Abrams, who has served in 3 Republican administrations, most recently acted as Trump administration's special envoy to Iran and Venezuela. Isn't it amazing to nominate someone to be a special envoy to an area that person has said they want to destroy, they want to just annihilate, they want to genocide the peoples in those countries? Like, it'd be like naming me special envoy to billionaires. Like, that's not gonna go well. The special envoy to Iran and Venezuela, 2 places this guy thinks should be blown off the face of the map. Where he was, to continue from the CNN article, where he was tasked at the time with directing the campaign to replace Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro. Replace is a lovely euphemism and propagandistic term to mean coup their country, to mean assassinate, kidnap, or otherwise incapacitate the elected president of a Latin American country. Even just having that as your mission should be horrific. But here's CNN being like, oh yeah, it's great, it's fine. The Republican insider's long history in foreign policy is marked by a 1991 guilty plea for withholding information about the Iran-Contra affair. This is how long back this guy's war crimes go. That earned him 2 misdemeanor counts, 2 years probation, and 100 hours of community service, though his crimes were later pardoned by George H.W. Bush. The secret Iran-Contra operation, which took place during Abrams' time as an assistant secretary of state in the Reagan administration, involved the funding of anti-communist rebels in Nicaragua. Again, in his role under President Reagan, Abrams was also blasted by Human Rights Watch for his attempts in 1982, in a 1982 Senate testimony, to downplay reports of the massacre of 1,000 people by U.S. trained and equipped military units in the Salvadorian town of El Mozate. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. In December 1981, the largest mass killing in recent Latin American history. He insisted the numbers of reported victims were implausible and lavished praise on the military battalion behind the mass killings. So, this guy defends mass killings, says they're great, says they're over, people are overestimating, and acting like they're more wrong than they are. And now not only has he gone on to serve in 2 more Republican administrations, but now even Joe Biden wants to get in on the action and nominate this war criminal to another post. But more than Elliott Abrams, who we've known for a long time as a sociopath and a madman and all those things, this yet again shows who Joe Biden and his administration, again, I don't know who actually makes these calls. Joe Biden, probably doesn't know whether his shirt is on backwards or forwards. But this shows what his administration stands for. They stand for this continued U.S. empire, this continued U.S. Decimation of the world, and he has no qualms with putting someone in power, in another position of power like this, and it's horrific. And To maybe to you and me, it's like, oh well, of course, war criminal's gonna war crime. That's what they do. We know Biden behaves this way. Biden and his administration, Blink and all the rest, and his Secretary of Defense that was on Raytheon's board of directors. We know these people are killers and sociopaths. So to us, to you and me, maybe it doesn't surprise us to see this, but it should surprise or say something to the liberals who support Joe Biden and think he is trying to create peace in this world or whatever. No, he's not. And yet again, he has proven it and shown it right here. So, okay, I want to bring you, before I get to more of our mainstream media propaganda, I got to get into this episode, the U.S. efforts to geoengineer. These are not, and it's not a theory I came up with. These are actual government reports and studies. But I'm going to get into that in a few minutes. But I wanted to start with a story, not start with, I wanted to move now to a story that just a real good news story. Just really, it warms the heart, warms the soul. You know, you got to put these in there as a little palate cleanser, right? To handle the other stories, to handle the death and destruction that we learn about every day in this world. And so I want to bring you this story. Orca rams yacht near Scotland, suggesting the behavior may be spreading. So you may have heard that there was at first one orca that was attacking yachts, mainly near Spain and Portugal. And then that orca taught the behavior to like other orcas in its clan or in its group. And so they thought, okay, well, this is a group of whatever, 5 or 10 orcas who are attacking yachts, attacking the rich, and really like destroying boats. But now the behavior has spread to near Scotland, where another orca has rammed a yacht. The incident occurred roughly 2,000 miles away from recent encounters in Spain and Portugal. Orcas have been ramming into ships off the coast of Spain and Portugal and making headlines worldwide. But until now, the behavior appeared contained to that one population. Last week, however, one of these black and white mammals slammed into a yacht between Scotland and Norway, some 2,000 miles from the Iberian orcas. Though scientists don't quite know what to make of the recent incident, they say it might mean the behavior is spreading. This is believed to be the first known orca boat encounter in northern waters. And other scientists believe that the behavior is probably started with an orca who was harmed by one of these yachts, who was either cut by one of the propellers or somehow hurt by a massive multi-million-dollar ship. And so it attacked the ship, and now it has trained other orcas in this behavior. Hey, here are the bad guys. The multimillionaires are the bad guys, and it's time to attack these ships. And I just want to say unequivocally that I am on Team Orca, okay? I am with you on this. Orcas all the way. And I wanted, because I'm doing this campaign, to try and part of it is to try and raise money. Part of it's to keep this show going. Part of it's to try and raise money to get rid of medical debt of struggling Americans. We have now added a couple of things to the Yard Rock 2024 merch page, which there's a Team Orca bumper sticker and a Team Orca t-shirt that you can now get at yardrock2024.com. For those who don't know, maybe you're new to my stuff, I am the campaign manager for a literal rock that I found on the ground that is running for president of the United States that would be far better than anything else out there, any other candidates in the corporate two-party system. And I have so that's mainly what the page is for. We've already erased, by the way, $12,000 of medical debt because of the way that RIP Medical Debt, it's a site you can also check out, RIP Medical Debt works. It multiplies the amount 50 or 100 fold. So we've already been able to erase $12,000 of medical debt for people struggling across America. But this is at yardrock2024.com. And by the way, this is my own project. I'm not, in case you think I'm being funded by some company to do this, I'm not. This is my own thing. So yeah, a literal rock for president 2024. And we've added a few items there. You can check them out. But as it says on the page, 50% of all proceeds go to eliminating medical debt. And just started this campaign, and already we've eliminated $12,000 of medical debt for struggling American. Hopefully it will get higher than that. So it basically, this campaign does two things. It supports this show, which I'm trying to continue to keep the show going, despite the fact that it's been crazy censorship. I am the most censored comedian in America. And because I also do journalism about these topics that you're not allowed to talk about. But trying to keep the show going. So you can support the show. You can also get a couple of cool things, be on Team Orca or be on Team Rock, Team Literal Rock. And check it out at yardrock2024.com, which I'll put the link here in the comments again. And it has all the Literal Rocks platforms, what it stands for, and what it will fight for. And I think you should definitely check it out, give it a chance, because the two corporate parties suck gonads. Okay, I don't know if that's a thing that can actually happen, but they do it. And so, I'm on Team Yard Rock and Team Orca, and I just want to show it. So if you feel like it, grab a Team Orca bumper sticker or a Team or a Team Orca t-shirt. And support this show, but also erase medical debt for struggling Americans. Because, the Orcas have it right. The Orcas have it right. Is anybody... And by the way, I'm taking votes for who the Yard Rock should run with. Who should be the VP to Yard Rock? It could be an Orca. I don't know. Who the Yard Rock should run with as VP. Also, campaign slogans. We've got Boulder Together. That's definitely one we're big fans of here. But there's Rock the Vote. There's Rock the Presidency. There's Get Stoned 2024. We'll see. And a lot of you have been bringing up that Biden should debate the Yard Rock, because we know that would be an amazing showdown of two mental capacities that are kind of on the same plane, on the same playing field. You'd have a literal rock found in a yard, found on the ground, versus a taxidermied skin suit of a human. And it would, I don't know how it would turn out. I mean, I don't know who would win, but I think it'd be pretty close. I think. Now, in terms of the platform, if you look at the platform, the Yard Rock fucking runs away with it. But in terms of debate, I don't know. I don't know who wins that. All right, so that's yardrock2024.com. But let's move on. I got to get to Macron saying he's going to ban social media. I also have to get into the White House opening the door for geoengineering. Definitely getting to both those stories. But the rest of this will continue at rumble.com/Lee Camp. Free to watch there. There's no cost. I hear it works a little better on Google Chrome than Firefox, but rumble.com/Lee Camp. If you give me just a second, I will give you the exact link. So let's see. Here's the exact link of the Rumble stream. Free to watch there. I also, if you'll give me a one moment intermission, I'm going to plug in the computer because I forgot to do that. So, hold on. Okay, let's continue. Hopefully you didn't see the reflection of all the other porn tabs I have open. But because the only way I can think straight is to have them running as like picture in picture, just in the corners. That's the only way I can keep my mind straight. It's just I don't know, just how I need to work. Okay, rumble.com/Lee Camp. Everybody join me over there. And I hope you'll also become a member at leecamp.net, which is my locals page. Obviously, this live stream will continue there as well on my locals page. leecamp.net. If you join up at leecamp.net, you get my book, my new ebook, Dangerous Ideas. You get that immediately. You also get these live streams whenever you want. They don't disappear like they do on other platforms. You also get exclusive content, like an article I posted the other day. All of that's at leecamp.net. You can also post your own stuff. You can email me. All that's leecamp.net. So